Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and this is The Road to the Record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games in a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you'd like to see, remember to hit that like button. You want to see more? Hit subscribe. Let the games begin. This is Pro Cycling Manager 2019, Career Mode episode number 20. Now, it's our first season. We're 20 episodes in, and it's still April. And as you saw last episode, if you've been watching throughout the series, the planner is overloaded with so many races to the point where I've had to really start cutting back on inserting 5-6 riders instead of the requisite 7, putting the minimum in just to give my riders a little bit of respite, a little chance to catch their breath. Well, and speaking of catching their breath, so many races in here. By now, you've got a pretty good idea of what this team and myself are capable of. So, for the next little while at least, till we get through this busy period, I'm going to go ahead and start doing some races off camera and then just giving updates. So, first update to that is that our next sponsor objective is just a few days away. The Vuelta a Castilla y Leon. We have 2.5-star objective for a top 5 finish. It's a 3-day race, one punchy stage with a couple sprints. Prior to that, though, I still have 2 races over the next 3 days. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the first race. This is the team I'm taking into it. This is the profile. Everybody's in form right now, so that part's good. But I'm going to go ahead and do this one and the next one off camera. It's a youth race, so I don't need much to happen here. And actually, maybe Cantor, who got the last race off because he's got a bit of a sniffle, and it's been a whopping 1 day since that race. I'll go ahead and give him another break. Take just 6 riders into this one. I'll do the next 2 races off camera. See you back in a little bit. As we prepare to enter our sponsor objective, again, top 5 overall placing is what we're seeking out. So stage 1, sprint stage, there's a little bit of undulation just before the finish. But a lot of that, this is 30k out. This is more than 15k. It's less than half the distance to the end. So it's relatively downhill to the finish line. So I think it'll definitely finish as a sprint. I don't think there will be that much damage to leave behind riders. Stage 2. This is only 14k from the finish. And it looks quite steep, but it's short. It's only category 3, so I don't think it'll be intense enough to leave riders behind. But if we're right at the front, we have the right personnel, we could attack that and try to leave some of them behind or leave them out of contention. Stage 3, this is the punchy finish one. And you can see again about 20k out, we've got a little bit of a climb and then a very long descent through this into the finish, and just in the final, that's 20. This would be about 10. The final 5k, we hit back-to-back climbs with as much time descending as there is going uphill. But it is certainly punchy, and that is not going to be for a sprinter. So the top 5 overall placing will come down to that because there will not be a bunch sprint. Can guarantee that, especially with these climbs before it. And all this undulation through here, it'll do some damage. So we've got to take care of our punchy riders and not just focus on the sprint for the first 2 stages. But if we do have a guy like Mater in the mix, we might be able to do something. Mater's got a decent sprint, but is also punchy. Narvaez, good. So the Narvaez will be the main guy we ride for, and then Mater in the sprint. And I am not bringing my sprinters, so Mater is going to be the focus of those first couple stages. I don't know what kind of results we'll get, so we'll be skipping straight to, that 30k out with these last kind of 2 climbs, as that could affect things. But before we get into that first stage, big news here. I already knew Pro Cyclist picked up something along these lines, but this is going to carry over into career mode as well. Of course, if you're following along with me, this is the first time the career mode's gotten there. We've had such a busy schedule. Even though we're 20 episodes in, we've had such a busy schedule that we're just now approaching the month of May. Now, those last 2 races that I just did, by the way, I said I was going to give updates. They were both youth races. The first one, we took a 1, 2, 3 finish. And that was nice. It was very nice. 1, 2, 3. They had 2.5 minutes over 4th place. We did have a 4th rider, not too far behind, but we did have some guys tail off on that one. So unlike the last race where I was trying to go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and managed to get 1 through 5, this race was a little more difficult, but at the same time, we were further clear of the field, the 3 riders that were. Narvaez took the win. It's a second race, youth race again, sprint race. That one didn't go according to plan. It was perfectly flat sprint, and leading into it, the weather was really bad. So one, Banishek took a huge crash, luckily not injured, got back on his bike, and made it back to the peloton, but had very little energy at the end for the sprint. So I had Cantor, I had Banishek, I had Ooms. I should have been the favorite. They were at the top of the list. But then Banishek was tired. And because we were the favorites, the only other rider that was there was Evenepoel. And he spent most of the entire race on the front, trying to reel back in the breakaway group because everybody else wanted to put the pressure on us, even though we only had 4 riders there. So Evenepoel was burned out. Banishek was burned out. Ooms ended up trying to give the lead out, but he had to sprint early. He ran out of energy before the finish line because he was running role of lead out. Banishek also was too fatigued, and so he ran out of energy just before the finish line, and that left Cantor. And unfortunately, Cantor ended up getting boxed in by Ooms and Banishek. There was a huge amount of space to the left-hand side at the finish line, and we had 2 riders from other teams sprinting it out on the right-hand side and going for it. So the space was to the left. So I was controlling Cantor. I pushed left, and even though physically there was space, or at least visually there was space, the hitbox, the actual space containing the track, the game mechanic side of it, was 5 feet skinnier. And so with Cantor, I pushed left and hit an invisible wall, and he was directly behind Banishek. And it was too late. So Ooms had the best run. He ended up in second. Banishek, almost not quite, just not enough energy after the recovery, finished third. Cantor never could get out of his boxed out situation and ended up in 5th, even though he had lots of energy and easily could have outsprinted those guys. And they were in good race day conditions, and Cantor was feeling better that day. He wasn't sick any longer, so he'd missed our last couple races being sick. That was unfortunate. But anyway, huge news. Pro Cyclist mode. That mechanic has carried over into career mode. And now there is absolutely a factor into the game of a rider's desire to join your team. I love that feature, but we'll see how it works. Long message here, laying it out. I will be doing my last tutorial of PCM 19 coming up soon. If you haven't seen any of those, be sure to check them out. I've done an early season career mode 1. I'm going to do a late season career mode 1, primarily centered around contract signings and managing finances and scouting riders, so on and so forth. That will begin with this message. So it'll be picking up from here. on the end. But this is fantastic news, and I'm really excited to play with this. But this is quite a bit of talk and not enough race. I've been doing racing. I mean, I started recording an hour ago. But for you, it's been close to 10 minutes. And we've got to get into racing. So let's get to it. Plenty of time still to go in this race. But definitely thinking about strategy. Thinking about the strategy for the race overall. And thinking about the strategy on the next two stages. They are sprint stages. Now, Gino Mater, he's a lead-out guy at best. He's got decent acceleration at 70, 71 today. But his sprint's only a 65, with +2 of 67. That is not a sprinter. So, looking at the rest of the team, Narvaez is the guy that I figured we're going to end up riding for overall, just because his hill rating is so high, and he's got good acceleration in sprint. He is a puncher. So is Logan Owen. And Logan Owen is very similar, and he's on a nice condition today. And actually better than Mater is, realistically. So, even though this is a sprint stage, and I've got no hope. Speaking of no hope, there are 8 World Tour teams here, and most of the remainder of the teams are Continental Pro teams, and a few of the bigger names, especially like climbing wise. So we are totally overmatched, and a top 5 seems completely unrealistic. We are like the last team here that should have a rider placed. But if we have any shot at it, I've brought the right guys to the party. So we will give it our all, give it our best, do what we can. With 33 kilometers left in this stage, what we can is get Narvaez planted as high as possible at every step of the way for this stage, for this race. So we start with this stage. We're going to ride for Narvaez. We're going to sprint for Narvaez. Now, I don't expect that we're going to do anything more than maybe squeeze into the top 10, as there are plenty of actual sprinters here. And I am sure that of those actual sprinters, the bulk of them are quality sprinters, as we're, World Tour guys. By the way, 44 riders just got dropped. We're down to, at the moment, 63 riders in the peloton with 27k to go. Now, here's the thing. You might hear the gusting. Right now it's 20, but we've had some pretty hefty gusts throughout this race. Here's where we're at. Here's where the finish. Here's the direction of the wind. So, right now, tailwind, and a little bit, crosswind, and then to the finish, tailwind again. Also, downhill through much of the finish. So, we've got a real shot here at something. And maybe those riders that just got left behind, as we have 62 in the peloton, maybe, if we're lucky, there's more riders just dropping out the back right now. The pack is quick in the pace. Maybe, just maybe, some of the sprinters aren't here. We'll have a shot at something. We've got 63 riders, 61 riders in the peloton. It's a minute, and the gap's growing slightly behind us. And with 21k to go, when we get to the top of this plateau, I want to form up.
There's nobody out in front, so with less than 20 kilometers to go, it's beginning to look as though it's going to end in a mass sprint.
19k. I don't want to burn my whole team in hunt for this, but I definitely want to focus on a few guys.
They really are moving. The pack can't
Okay,
get
16k. Gap is opening slightly behind us. We're just about to the top. Let's go a little bit further. Let's push it to about 14.
The finish line is getting close. The riders have just passed the 15 kilometers
Okay.
road sign.
Yeah, before we hit this dip. Wow, my guys are kind of tired though. Oh, I want it before that uphill. We don't need to attack it. We just need to be formed. So, Narvaez is going to follow Owen. I got that much figured out. Those are our punchiest guys. From there, what do we have? Got a good climber, Sepkus, okay speed. How's his hills? Oh, he's got a good hill rating. McNulty might be the next best option. He's more of a mountains guy than a hills guy. What about Barta? Oh, Barta's got a really nice hills rating. Let's put you there in the middle. And then we've got Mater. See, I brought the right group. I mean, almost all of these guys are pretty good in the hills. The funny thing is McNulty is just about the weakest. Well, what about the sprint? Can't forget about Mater. Mater back here. Let's see. Far back. Yeah, he's faster. Try a 90 here for Vashek. Can he get forward? Come on, Vashek, let's go, buddy. Let's go. You just left the whole flippin' team behind. Seriously? Dude, you suck. Pull it back together, but Vashek just screwed the pooch on that one big time. Let's go, Vashek. Not only did you literally suck at your job just now, this gap in front of us, that's where the team was when I gave the order to you. You've literally lost ground since taking over. That was the worst job you ever could have done. McNulty takes over. This is how it means. This is what it looks like to go forward. Come on, guys. There's Mater. Come on, Owen.
The teammates of the main sprinters are not handing out tickets for a breakaway, so the stage will end up in a mass sprint.
Okay. McNulty, it's 7K. And McNulty is done. I'm going to try my best to get him to hang on to the back. Barta. Use your gel. Koos. 6K. And I've got a bunch of guys, so we're just going to go 99. It's downhill, so we're just going to go full speed. Put pressure on. For one thing, the peloton's down to 49 riders, so a lot of sprinters are probably not here. Now, here comes actual speed. Koos doesn't have it. Alright, now you're going to try to do the same thing. Grab onto the back as best you can. Barta, it's 3.3K. I forgot to use these guys' gel. That's not helpful, but it's not like we're going to actually win a sprint, right? Because look how we're getting swallowed up by actual sprint trains. 2.2K. Barta, sprint. We've got to go super early here. Remember, it's downhill, and we now have the wind at our back. Yes. Ooh, no, the last moment we've got a turn. Oh, a crosswind to the finish. Unexpected, but I've got 3 guys and 1.3K. Oh, this could be good. Come on, Mater. Come on. Where's the speed, buddy? Where's the speed? I'm looking for a 3-second bonus here. Any second bonus. 4-second bonus. Owen. Narvaez. Nope. Jumbo Visma. Grundle Jansen takes the win. De Wolf second. Mezgec third. Philipsen Jensen. Mater gets 7th. Owen takes 9th. Narvaez, though, good position in 10th. Small break. I don't think that break will count, but we should have about 49 riders, a minute and a half clear of the chasers. Hopefully that'll actually be the case. I mean, it's already been 5, 6, 7 minutes before those other groups came rolling in. And the split was like 30K out. So how's it going to be? No split after 11. That was expected. Come on. Come on. Split! Yes! There it is. Okay, so 49 riders left in contention. The other guys just lost a minute and a half. That is huge. That is huge, because guaranteed some of those guys could be punchy riders that just aren't very good on the flat, and the teams weren't focusing on them, and maybe they're going for just stage 3 that takes them out of the overall contention. The workload doubles again, and we have another race while still participating in the actual sponsor objective. This one, though, looks to have a little bit more excitement than some of the others. Looking at the profile here, we open right away into a Category 2 climb, and then we have 6 additional categorized climbs before the end, and you can see there is plenty of action to be had on the later portions of this stage. So I decided to go ahead and show this one off. And we're going to go ahead and try to get into position right now. There is no break formed. It is a 2-stage race. Get you the title of it here in just a moment. We've got really excellent race day condition throughout. Most of the guys are all on their fitness bonuses right now. Brian working his way up. So, Tour de Jura. And this one is without World Tour teams. So a lot of Continental Pro teams at this one. And a lot of the better Continental teams. So this is not an easy one. And we only brought 5 riders to the race. So we are a little bit underhanded. But it's still good riders. Outside of Cassart. Surprising there's still no breakaway. I could actually... Iking might be the guy to go for this. I think I'm going to send Iking forward. Hold on. Let's not sprint just yet. Get ahead of these guys. Oh, here comes the break.
A surprise attack! He's probably just trying to force his teammates away from the bunch. The pack is increasing its work rate. Some teams can't be happy with the breakaway.
Hi, King. Give me a little sprint. Oh, he's only going to go 3rd over. Okay. Well, he's already missed out on the biggest points, so I'm just going to have him back off, get back in the field. Oops. Brian, meanwhile, accidentally went off the front as well. Have him back off. Wait for everybody else. Category 2 climb was worth the most points by far. I mean, that was worth 10. And I'm really not looking to have a guy in the field in the break. Get everyone set for the long haul here.
Between the breakaway and the pack. A couple of teams have set themselves up as pacemakers for the pack. They obviously don't have anybody in the breakaway group.
Okay, so Evenepoel obviously is the strongest rider here, so we'll be riding for him. Ooms is capable on a hill, so I think we're going to ride for him as well. Brian, even though he's a better sprinter, is very, very weak. And Iking will allow him to go on his own. So let's go ahead and speed this up. Breakaway group is 3 riders. Minute 45 clear. And it should actually be quiet till the later part of the stage now. So why don't I just go ahead and skip to the later end of the stage and save a little time. 45 kilometers left to go. And we just pulled in the last rider from the break. And you can see we've got a near constant undulation now till the end of the stage. But none of it's severe except for one short little section coming up here in about 10 kilometers. Meanwhile, the rain just began to fall. We're also about to hit the top of this climb, and there's still all those points available. Brian actually picked up a couple earlier. So I'm going to have Brian ride forward and sprint, and I'm going to have Iking sprint as well, and try to go pick up some points. Iking for second over the top. Nope. He got third. The other guy got second. But guys can both back off now. Thank you. Brian, return to your role. And there we go. So 89 riders in the peloton at this point. Quite a few riders have been dropped, and there's quite the gap to them. So much so that there's possibly going to be a fair few eliminated on time. You can see the spread is quite large here from the front of the field to the broom wagon at the back. And I have a feeling that we are going to lose some of those riders anyway. So let's move forward a little bit quickly here. Shouldn't be much action for the next little while. Here's the steepest area right now, and pace is not that bad, so it's not doing crazy damage. I think that was it right there. Oh, we just went through it. That was the steepest. And we've got a break. 17 riders at the moment. No, back together. Back together. Definitely some damage done. Plenty of yo-yoing at the moment, and we're in a good position.
Oh my! I can see her rider on the tarmac. Thank goodness he looks fit to get back in the race.
Alright, down to 20k. And let's slow this back down. So how are we looking? Gentle uphill slope right now, and we're about to have a steeper one. And, oh, we're going to hit this twice. This is also the finishing loop. So here's the little downhill. We're about to turn and go uphill. Here we go. It's just over 1K to the top. And I want Iking pushing forward. And I want Brian pushing forward, but not as hard. Brian's a terrible climber, so there's not much for him to fight for. There you go. Iking to the front. Brian, go ahead and sprint. Nope. You're not going to make it. Not even close. That's fine. Never expected you to get anything. Iking, on the other hand, picking up some really solid points there without the effort. And where does that put him? He's on 12, so if he gets over the top of the next climb first, he'll have 17. So we'll take a look at that when the time comes. Meanwhile, it's already down to just 16 kilometers. I only have 5 riders, so it's not like I have a long sprint train that I can form up, but everybody is ready to go. So we can ride for Ooms, we can ride for Brian, actually, at this point. But then Evenepoel we'd want on the back, not part of the sprint. So I really only have Iking and Cassart as some sort of lead out. Here is the 1K to go. Next time through, of course, will be the last time. Little uphill through here. Very technical. There's a steep downhill to the finish. Ooh. Very steep downhill to the finish. And you can sprint way before that finish line. I think we can get away with sprinting at about 1.5 kilometers. I want I-King at the front over the top. I'll go ahead and form now. Let's see, what's the 5K, and most of that's downhill. So Evenepoel's going to go in the back. Brian and Ooms, right? Brian, yeah, definitely the better sprinter. And then I-King and Cassart. We want to use Cassart up before. And we'll start gentle here for Cassart. Let's bring him forward. He's got to make it almost to the close to the climb, which we have 5K to go on that now.
There's now just 10 kilometers left.
Gel's already kicked in. Gentle slope right now. And then we'll have the steep climb after that. We'll want I-King for that. So as these guys start to move forward, we will try to accelerate. Let's start that acceleration as we go over the top. I-King, use your gel. Okay, here it is. So 96. Use everybody else's gel now. Okay, Cassart, you're done. You're going to jump on the back end. I want I-King going forward. I-King over the top. That's going to put him into the lead. There you go. 17 points. Brian's got 8. Ooms picked up a few points over the top. So that's good. We've got the Mountain Climbers jersey. And it's 4.7 to go. And there's our 3 guys. Brian should recover just slightly on this descent. Yep, there you go. He is. So I-King. Not a very good downhill guy, actually. Split in the field. And we're at 2.6. Mostly flat. Little uphill. I-King's going to sprint now. We might just take this thing.
The strong men are giving their
Okay,
all.
Ooms, 1.8 to go. We were talking about 1.5 for Brian anyway. But Ooms is so fast here that he is damaging Brian. I think he's got this. There's only a couple riders left. We'll watch from back here. Oh, Ooms is going to hang on to it. Ooms outdoes Brian, but there's a 1-2. Evenepoel takes 4th, almost grabs a 1-2-3. I-King up there in 7th, little gap behind, more gaps showing. That's a minute.
For the back markers who appear to be fairly numerous in this difficult race.
Watch the field as they come across. Huge gaps here. 5 minutes. 7 minutes. That group came in at 8 minutes down. 10 minutes now. The cutoff is 50 minutes? Really? Why is the cutoff 50 minutes? Month Fund 2 is not even 50-minute cutoff, right? It's like 35, 40 minutes. This wasn't a mountain stage. Still riders coming, but they'll make it. They should be past the time cutoff now. They really should. I figured it was going to be a 20, 25-minute kind of cutoff. Half of what it is. Here comes the last couple riders. 35 minutes. 36 minutes. And they're not going to be eliminated. Wow, no time gaps given. All those splits on a hills stage, separated by 2-3 minutes, and the first split isn't until the guys that were 8 minutes behind. And yeah, no time cutoff. Wow. PCM, you doing me wrong here. Doing me wrong. Jeez. So we get the sprint jersey. We've got the mountain jersey. We definitely have the under 25s. And we're in first for the team competition. But that is very frustrating. I knew not all of those splits would be given. Some of those splits were very minor, very, very small group split. But there were splits. I mean, there was 20, 30 riders that came in 2 minutes after. That's a split. Sorry. That is by far my biggest criticism of this game. I've benefited from it once or twice, but I've been hurt by it many, many times, and I'd rather have been hurt by it the once or twice. Alright, well, back to the actual target, the challenging target, with all these World Tour riders, guys that are way, way beyond our capability. Right now, 7th, 9th, no sprint points in here, so nowhere to steal some seconds. It's all going to come down to the finish, and it's a sprint. And, well, we're not sprinters, so we'll do what we can. So let's go ahead and skip till just before this final climb, I suppose. Stage 2 in our big objective race, the Castilla y Leon. The breakaway group on this one actually got a really large leash. Main reason because that wasn't the real breakaway group. The real breakaway group was 15 riders and it was too big. And the field chased and chased. But because it was 15 riders, they had enough firepower to stay away. And stay away they did for quite a while. So the entire field spent the whole first half of this stage riding really hard and doing a lot of damage in the field. It's amazing that there aren't more riders who were dropped from that than that there's just a few. Eventually we reeled them in, and then instantly 4 other riders got away. And everybody was just like, oh, phew, okay. It's not 15 riders anymore. Now they aren't so strong. And everybody took their foot off the gas halfway through the stage, and those 4 riders got pretty far ahead. Just a handful of kilometers ago, about 10, they were actually still over almost 3.5 minutes ahead. But now all of a sudden, that lead's come down really quick, so I think they will be reeled in. And actually, kind of soon. It's amazing how quickly that's come down. So I'm wondering if those 4 riders were actually among the 15 that broke away. And that could be. They were allowed quite a bit of freedom, but with only 4 riders, they don't have enough firepower to do the damage necessary. Now we're coming up on a Category 3 climb here in just a moment, and I don't expect it to do anything. We're in a good position. We're near the front. Getting a little bit of chase here by UAE and Mitchelton Scott, I think that is. No damage. So peloton splitting, at least at the moment, and at the top, I'm looking to form and start pushing.
15 kilometers left.
Back together for now. Field stretches out as it goes up the climb here. Race leader Janssen. Okay, there you go. We are to the top. It's just under 14k to go. We'll sprint train it, even though we are not sprinters. So Narvaez will follow Mater. Mater, the best sprinter, and I'm trying to remember who. Let's see, 64, 63, 61. Owen, there you go, 68. Actually, Owen's even better than either of these guys, realistically. So let's... Oi, 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 oi. There you go. Owen, Mater. From there, we're pretty wide open. I think Barta, Koos, McNulty. Actually, I should probably change the order on those two. Goose with that -1. Use your gel as well. No, not a 97. Need these guys to get up there first. Mater, come on. Goose the last one. Oh, he's supposed to go all the way up to second wheel. Wasting a lot of energy just trying to get there.
Just past the 10 kilometers road sign.
And now there's a little breakaway while that happened. Goose is still not in his position. Finally. Oh, and his gel's gone. Just like that. Good job. Alright, 7K, so let's push it hard.
The pack is slowly whittling away the lead. We're into the last 5 kilometers.
5K to go. Still haven't caught the last man. 3.8. Give me your sprint, McNulty.
The escapees have surrendered. The pack gave them no chance.
Barta.
And there goes the mad burst for the final sprint.
Definitely having to go with the team sprint as we are not sprinters. We're going to get any hope of getting 3 seconds here. It's taking everything we've got. Oh, not quite. Not quite. Owen is just short. I think he's going to be 4th. Oh, so close. So close to picking up a few seconds. Mezgich takes the win. Rick Zabel 2nd. Phillipson 3rd. Owen takes 4th. Narvaez 6th. Wow, Mark Renshaw. I mean, he's a lead-out guy, but he's a decent sprinter. Only 9th for him. Jay McCarthy, 12th. These guys, you would expect them to be a bit higher up. Standings should be pretty much unchanged, just the handful of riders that were off the back and those little splits at the end. I think we're close enough to the end that they won't provide any sprints. And unlike that previous race that we just did, this one, it's a sprint stage with minor splits coming right at the end. No reason to actually split the field. And sure enough, it's not just a handful of riders off the back. Almost picking up seconds, but we again don't. So we head into the final stage with no bonuses. But Owen, Narvaez, Mater all in a good position, at least on the count back. So that'll help. Even Barta, McNulty, Coos, they're all up there. So if everyone finishes same time outside of the top 3 and the bonuses, count back is at least looking fairly good. But with 1 to go and a top 5 necessary, at least right now we're looking at a possible top 10. Stage 3 really is going to decide it though. We're going to get the last stage of that other race. We're going to get stage 3 in on this one, and then whatever else we can squeeze in on the next episode. But that's going to do it for this one. I'm Decathlon Gamer, and remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe and tune in next time on my Road to the Record. Bye for now.